that there's a very strong feminist slant, and having known you for decades now, I know that you've been a strong feminist yourself. Pivotal characters in your films have always projected women in such solid lead parts. Now, I know Javed Saab is an incredible feminist himself. In fact, I would say that even in the times of Indian cinema, you know, where the concept of women empowerment and being a feminist was not a concept that was addressed, and it should have been. Javed Saab always gave very strong parts to the women. They were working professionals, they balanced profession and emotion in equal measure. Javed Saab, as a feminist yourself, how do you reflect on writing today where it comes to, and not just this novel, in generally the approach of how women are projected today in literature and even in cinema?
Obviously, we have come a long way and we have still to go a long way, but the situation has totally changed. I mean, say in 60s, the ideal woman was Macho Brahungi or Sahara, and now it is rejected. But I suppose society is on a curve, the turning of the road. We are still not very clear what is the image of a contemporary woman. It is slowly coming into focus, I must say, but there is a lot of confusion about it. You see, the liberal gets very scared in giving a final definition because he feels that somebody will out-liberal him. On the other hand, the conservatives are scared to define her because they feel that they will lose a lot of territory. But there is a debris. At the moment, I see a lot of debris because the old structure has been demolished and the new structure is under construction. It is coming. In some of the film, I'm sorry that she's my daughter, but the fact is that I see that modern woman is well. That this is the contemporary real person of today. Otherwise, in one of these films, if you will insist, I'll tell you which film, but...
I insist.
Okay. In Jab Tak Hai Jaan, the heroine says that I'll get married after sleeping with one man of every nationality of the world. Now this bravado was only to tell that I don't care. I don't bother, I have the courage to say anything outrageous. But I mean, to be an empowered woman, you don't have to be so hardworking. So I feel that there is a lot of confusion. Like you will notice that in girls, the percentage of smoking is increasing. I mean, I suppose nicotine is as bad for feminine lungs as for masculine lungs. But these are the wrong expressions. These are a kind of rebellion without a cause, rebel without a cause. They are fighting. I mean, I am not running it down because it's a pendulum which moved. Now it has moved on the other side, but it will find its balance. And I do see that balance in a couple of duels.
When you say rebel without a cause, and sometimes well with one, I think of Khalid and his writing in the earlier days, or when he was a critic. How do you react today, Javed Saab, and I have to ask you, and I will ask Anil that question as well, is that how do you react to when a critic gets into, and this is just purely because you're such an astute and your emotional quotient is so high, how do you react to when a critic himself is now going to be open to criticism? Now, he has been a screenwriter and he's written some very credible pieces of work, and now he's in a totally different terrain. And you know, there is a thing, there is a psyche that surrounds us that like, these people write anything, but you know, like, tell them to go write a film, which is an unjustified accusation because that's the job. A critic is meant to then, you know, point out and analyze the piece of work. Now he's going to be open to criticism. What is your take and thought on that?
I think most of the doctors can be found in ICU sometimes. It's possible. After all, they are human beings. But yes, you see, criticizing something is something else. That's easier. But when you are producing it, when you're starting from point zero, when a blank paper is in front of you and you have to write the first word, that is very, very difficult. And doing it yourself, if I see a painting, I can, to some extent at least, appreciate the painting or find some fault in it and in its color scheme or structure. If you ask me to draw a line, I can't draw a straight line. So appreciating or assessing something is one quality, and it can be in some people But to do it yourself is another thing, as you have said. I am not repeating what you are saying. So again, now you're the test.
Khalid, you know that now this is a new, you're going to like walk the talk as they say, and you're going to enter totally new turf and terrain. And of course there are people, you know, we have prominent novelists and people in the world of literature in India and globally who have, you know, created like such large spaces for themselves. And this is your first foray into being a novelist yourself. Are you, is there some kind of fear, apprehension about the feedback that's going to come your way?
I don't think books are reviewed much nowadays. There are some papers which do it, and there will be trolls, there will be funny remarks on Amazon. And yeah, I can take it. Like I remember when Fiza was made, it was called Bullshit, and Mr. Subhash Ghai gave it 2 stars. And so, is Mr. Subhash Ghai can be a critic? Why can't a critic be a Mr. Subhash Ghai?
Yeah.
So, in a manner of speaking. But I'd like to turn this over to Anil right now, and he used to get very furious with me with some reviews and would talk to me. I missed him during those days, but then we always patched up. So, do reviews hurt? Did mine?
So would you want some film people to review your novel?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get more hits for that, I'll get more sales for that, Mr. Mago will profit, and I'll be happy.
Shall I speak to Subhashi?
Oh, I don't think that's a wood you will be whistling in very soon, but anyway.
Well, no, ask Zoya actually, or, you know, Farhan, if they can. I'll be very happy with the reviews.
Oh God, you want Zoya to read your book? So really, are you ready for that? Javed,
Sure.
can you just give a disclaimer to that?
If I can be ready for Subhash Ghai, I can be ready for anyone.
Okay.
You're not even a father.
AK, back to the question, that did his reviews hurt? And can you remember anything caustic he said about you?
Well, of course, there were quite a few films, of course. Which comes to my mind is Beta, and
Which you won the Filmfare Award.
which I won the Filmfare Award, so that is a film where he gave me a bad review. You know, he's called Beta Beti,
And I just said he was a feminist.
yeah, and fortunately for me, I won the Best Actor Award, and the film was a huge success. And of course, Lamhe, you know, Lamhe, I remember, was quite devastating, and for Yashi, for all of us, because the review, what Khalid gave was not very positive, and he compared the film to one of Gulzar's husbands. I remember it so well, and that was awesome. And of course, after I think many years, I think almost after 25 years, Khalid sent me a message saying I was wrong, because the film is a very, very good film. So sometimes, you know, it's your state of mind, when you're watching the film, at that moment you feel, like for example, I've seen Joker, but there are few reviews, 99.9% reviews have been phenomenal, but there are few reviews which are not very positive, and that surprises me, because I love the film. So these things happen. So obviously now time has passed, so I've become much more thick-skinned where reviews are concerned, you know. So, but earlier, when you start your career, you're quite sensitive, and there are certain films which you've really worked very, very hard, and you know the filmmaker and the entire team, kind of effort they put in, and then you read the review and you feel a little upset. So these are two films I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, about the
You
correction.
would not like Lamhe?
No, maybe.
No, it's perfectly all right.
No.
I have no problem. So you have not liked it. Then you
I
must
had
ask
not
Zoya,
liked it.
You must ask Zoya to review because the story of Lamhe was written by her mother.
What do mothers and fathers have to do with anything, really? But yes, I did not react to it then, and I really think critics should admit the mistakes, because we are not really writing things cast in stone, and we are wrong at times, and I believe I've done that to a few films, and I've acknowledged that. I think I gave Rajkumar Hirani's first Unabai film just 3 stars, it deserved 4. So when I look back, and luckily I saw this on one of these OTT platforms, and I said, wow, things are happening here. And I must admit there was a bit of a sentimental effect that day, because I saw it on the day Sridevi passed away, so that film became monumental suddenly. And his performance was something else. I mean, whenever I shave my mustache off, I think, oh my God, now I'm looking like Anil Kapoor, so he's I mean, in a very bad way, very bad way.
No. We weren't getting into that.
Okay.
I'm just imagining you without a mustache.
Okay, I'll say.
Khalid, back to the book. We're really here to celebrate Aladia Sisters, and it's the passion in which you've written it, and of course I know that this means a lot to you even personally. Now, I know that you said that it's drawn from personal aspects, and of course, grandmothers and your grandmother's sisters, and there are parts that are true, parts that are fictionalized. It's a balance between both.
Imbalance.
Now, how easy, or rather how difficult is it to detach yourself from true to life material when you have to also fictionalize it? As a writer, what is that process that you go through when you have to do that?
I think the first problem in writing a novel is that I've been a reporter, I've been a film critic, I've written short pieces which are mainly 800 to 1,000 words. You're not allowed to write more. Maximum you're given 2,000 words now, because in networks and portals there's no limited, no limits. But to write a 1 lakh word was, and to sustain the characters and to keep revising it, to pare away the contradictions and sometimes let the contradictions be, because that's how people are. And yes, it's a very lonely pursuit, because in, let's say, the Times of India, I'm working with the whole team. In a film, I'm working with 100 people. Everything is a group effort, but this was a very solo performance. And of course, my editor, Deepa Chaudhary, was very good. She didn't change it much, so I must have done something right. So yeah, writing a novel is the most difficult form I've attempted, because it needs your thoughts there, and you have to be careful about the research. Of course, one has done research outside of Wikipedia, gone to meet people who were of that age, put one's own experience. Like, for instance, I'll say, suppose while writing the story, the protagonist wants to see a shrink, a psychoanalyst, because his friends don't listen. And the psychoanalyst tells her, you don't need me, you just go home. So I put that. So that's a part of me, but it's not the character who's quite heroic and going off to different places. I won't go by a third-class train, a third-class compartment train, but this guy does. So it's a part of me and it's a part of somebody else. So it's a mixture, and it's a very, very difficult fusion. Very.
Well, writing, we can all, I think on this platform, I think Javed sir would also agree that writing is a lonely process. But it's it's cathartic, it's lonely, but it's also the most satisfying when you actually finally put word to paper, and when you reflect on it and look at it, and you know that there's a sense of satisfaction that can't be replaced by anything else. So I'm sure that, as turbulent as it was, it feels very validating today.
I think cathartic is a very easy word to put. Like, you've written something and it goes out of you, you've had your cry, you feel good, you've released it, you can put up a monument for your mother, but you've written this film for her. It's not cathartic, it stays, it enlarges, so it's always there. So writing is not a way of analysis, of putting out all your words and just forgetting it. They grow within you, as I'm sure they have grown within Javed Saab's. I would wonder, for instance, whether he would write Diva the way he did today. Would it be different?
Would it be?
I hope so. Because if it doesn't, it means I have not changed at all in the last 40 years.
Cinephiles, Javed Saab, I have to add to cinephiles, cinema lovers, academic, personalities across the world have touted Diva as the perfect screenplay. Lots of them have said that there are two perfect screenplays in Indian cinema. There's Avara and Diva. In terms of structure, narrative, character arc, and it's been said numerous times. I know that it's difficult for you to agree with that because that would be, self-acknowledgement, but that is true. So if you had to write it again today, you would probably just give it a contemporary edge. I'm not sure the arc should change.
The screenplay of Diwar was written exactly in 18 days. There was never a second version. This is what we had written in 18 days. So there was perhaps, now when I look back, both of us, Salim sir and me, perhaps we found some kind of a creative high when things were coming so easy to us. And in another 20 days, the dialogue was written. The dialogue is written in 20 days and the screenplay is written in 18. So that's about it. And till Trishul, we had no idea there is something like second version. Trishul was the first film where we made certain, after the completion of the film, we made certain changes. Otherwise, all that I've written, including Shoni, was the first version, the only version. That's about it. So, I mean, there is a time when the batsman swings his bat and the ball comes through it. So that was the time for us. But let's forget about it. Let's talk about this novel and the novels in India. As a matter of fact, in India, it's a strange paradox, Karan, that we have been brought up as a nation on epics. That is a template. Ramayana, Mahabharata, and even in different regions of India, you have epic stories, big stories, generations. But when we look at a literature, whether Hindi literature, Urdu literature, Gujarati, Marathi, comparatively in Gujarati or in Bengali, Marathi, you will find some novels, but strangely, Hindi, Urdu, have very few novels. Very few novels. And the simple reason is that if you are doing something else, you can find time to write a short story or a play. But to write a novel, you have to be a full-time writer. And unfortunately, for a very long time, writers are human. Today it is true that in these languages, the writers don't get enough sustenance, economic sustenance, to be able to sit down and write a novel for next 3 years. It's not possible. So that is why novels are rare. Now in English literature, obviously English, in spite of being language of perhaps 2 to 3% India, has a bigger market. There are people who buy English novels. But we still have that, indigenous languages still have that problem. But if you look at our screenplays are an average Hindi picture, the screenplay is nearer to a novel than a short story. And now the cinema parallel, or whatever you may call it, is gradually, the new cinema that is developing, is gradually going towards the short story. And it is rejecting the songs. So that epic-like quality is gradually going out of Indian cinema, and I am very sad about it. Because our indigenous cinema, the way we have used melodrama, the way we have used songs in the picture, look at the masters like Gulzar, look at the masters like Vimal Roy, Raj Kapoor, how Vijay Anand, how they have used songs. Why it has started embarrassing new director, I don't know tomorrow. Some Japanese will get embarrassed about kabuki, or Italians get embarrassed about their Italian opera. They say it's not real. Who says art should be real? Who says novel should be real? It can be anything. Like we were talking the other day, autobiographical. They asked him so many times, is it autobiographical? No writing can be not autobiographical anymore. There will be a part of your autobiography in it. Your morality, your sensibility, your aesthetics, your values, they will enter Prince Charming, Sleeping Beauty, Rustam, Sohrab, anybody. They are your people when you are writing about them. And they speak your language. And that is how every fiction is to some extent autobiographical.
Karan.
Please try.
Yeah, please.
Khalid, I have one last question to ask you before we go into the yes. I have to just say, and I'm going to ask you the $1,000,000 question, that is there an aspiration to make this into a web series or a film? Has it been written with that thought process, with that ethos at all?
I would say it hasn't crossed my mind. I mean, when I was seeing all the characters, I thought, oh my god, this is Netflix or Amazon, whatever. But to be honest, I have met a lot of people from the streaming channels who come and they take me for good lunch, and then they want me to sign a MOU, saying you won't discuss this with anyone else. The money they offer is peanuts, and I'm going to be the creative consultant, which is fine. I don't want to be there on the set shooting web series. But there are a lot of middle agents involved. So I already got like, okay, can we read the advance copy? I said, no, okay, let it come out, maybe you like it or not. But don't call me, please, if you just want to give me a free lunch. And those lunches are nice, but that's frustrating.
Because there are no free lunches.
Well, I don't know. There's scrum in my brain. For instance, I was called by 3 OTT channels to do a version of The Feud with the 2 sisters.
Right.
So they wanted somebody like, the characters to be, and I swear this is told to me by 3 channel people. Somebody like Hema Malini and Zia Tamam to have a clash. Okay, so, and why me? Because I was there in the 70s. So, 75, 76. So, Mr. Javed Akhtar was again pointing out to me that there are just 3 people from the 1970s working in cinema today, which is himself, Rishi Kapoor, and Amitabh Bachchan. Isn't that right? Okay.
And Burla.
Number 4. Okay, so let's get Anil involved now. Okay, let him talk about.
I think when we involve Anil, we involve, of course, a celebrated actor, and I think a shining, illustrious personality who's adding more glamour to this platform than anybody else is. Like a true blue star, I feel like the spotlight is only on his face. If you notice, none of our faces are shining like Anil Kapoor's faces. Like, he's just looking like literally, when they say a star has a star presence, I feel he shouldn't say anything. He's just shining. And I feel just he should just remain and he's been doing this Spotify commercial. Rightfully, the spotlight is also on him. The right brand also chose him. Anil, I don't have any question to ask you related to the book, but आपकी खूबसूरती का क्या है? I just want to ask you that.
He is a Punjabi.
No, I am also Punjabi. It doesn't happen here.
And of course, I've been very, very, obviously, that's the
It's
question.
in the genes.
Quite, I think, I've answered it many times, but I don't want to answer it again. Everybody knows the answer. They can look up to all my interviews. But of course, I've been very fortunate. I want to ask one question to
Yes, you must.
Khalid. Okay. Khalid, who had been your when you started writing all the reviews? Because really, there is, of course, as Karan said, the humor in it, the wittiness in the was there anyone in the that you were inspired by? Because you see, as an actor, I'm inspired by a lot of actors, and there are certain works which are internationally and national, and I'm up to them and I've learned a lot from them. So was there anybody who you were inspired by?